dun, dun, dun. The was behind you soon diary. Hi, my name is Ari, and welcome again to another episode of The Best Behind the Sun Diary, your favorite podcast. I've been off really this day because this day I had planned to post it and cycle it and again posted a new episode of my podcast. Mainly because I feel the little back off moment when I really want to dig into what is supposed to be into spirituality, being into whatever type of things, and I get really off when I find out something related to my family that I want to address, but it's kind of similar to what happens when, you know, I see most of the time that you had the believe that certain type of things are supposed to be in one way and there aren't. So that's the main episode and main focus of this podcast episode that I have to tell you, and is that most of the times, and how did I is that I accomplished the fact that my dad was lying to me a lot of time. I talk about it in my course a little bit, like how was my background, because I see going on a lot of cheating, all of these things, open relationships, all of that often, and I never feel that I have a secure place to be around with. But most of them is only for near to my family, just that they had something related to like um being not believing in love, being giving up everything that they could. They were like kind of type of mindset of like, I'm going to save myself from marriage, and then if I don't have this, I'm going to throw everything back and just I'm going to be this free girl, this free man, this free whatever, and just kind of having a stable life based on cheating, whatever, because I want to make other people feel how I felt. But then that is not the purpose. It's all about my background. It's just the way that I get over it. I get not attached anymore. I really been working in this area in my life for a lot of times, and I don't get fully tangled into being again with this feeling of guilt, because when you even don't have this feeling of like, I want to give back again this family. So in this topic is just that I want to give you some tips about this, how it's been that I've been almost 4 years or 3 years off from that relationship with my dad. And even though for some family members in my life it's possible, believe it or not, it is possible. But still, for me, it's been possible. Even though I asked my therapist how I can manage these feelings, how I can be better, and how I can be, improving my life without this feeling of guilt, without this feeling of like, I feel off, I feel on, I feel off, I feel on, from those type of things. Just me seeing this kind of patterns of their beliefs are like, you're going to tell this to another person, you're going to lie. And that's how I do started to notice how somebody lie, if that makes sense. Because by reflection, I only didn't learn only just like lying, because that was a constant behavior I fight. I didn't like lying for that reason, because I prefer saying straightforward, look, I don't like you, or look, I don't like this, and that's it. That's what I prefer, be honest than be lying, because the lies that I was taught to growing up were not the same as now. Because even though that affect me in my songs, I have a time where I really was doing excuses, lame excuses, being like, I'm going to tell this, I'm going to tell this, I'm going to say this, I'm going to tell this, I'm going to be blah 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 blah. But it really was not only meant for like telling you straightforward the truth about the song, telling you straightforward about something. It was only that I wanted some privacy in my song. Some people could tell you that, but it's either not legally well spoken in some areas, because if every single singer would telling you who they're like or who they probably got some problems as well. We need to see two sides. But my side of my story of like what I've been not telling you about these things is because I simply consider that it's not meant for me to tell you who is who in this story, if that makes sense. You might have your guess for all the storytellers that I have to tell you, but when it comes to such important things such as the dream guy or the dream thing, I wouldn't qualify a lot because believe it or not, the minute that I release this song, the minute that I discover one of the biggest flaws that I had a nick with that person and I want to get off. But like it's still just a person that is not a well with me, you know, but like when it comes to how that affect my relationship even though with music is that a lot of the times I've been lied to, I've been manipulated as well, just to believe something that is not. That was a constant lie that I have in my life daily basis. Like being again in these patterns of like feeling great, feeling empowered, feeling whatever, but it's not for me. It's not for me that kind of patterns and the tips is just that first of all, give it a little that everything was like split it up, that was open my eyes. Let's say that I have my open that I have my eyes open. I mean, that day I really feel that never was the same. Never was the same. I was never capable to believe the same things, to have the trust again, to believe that this could be something nurturing. And as well, by that time, I only had the song of Pumpkin. And the same way that it happened to me back then, 3 years or 4 years ago, the same way that it happened to me now that I find out something kind of similar related to some of my family members. But the way that I managed was better because I learned the coping mechanisms, but I did get hurt. You can see even on my face, I didn't have makeup at all. I just had my nails on because I do consider that self care is a way to calm down a little bit. For me, it's just the way that I can have some calm, some guide, and just that. But when it comes to actually be again with yourself, be again with who you are, be again with all the people that you love, be again with like everything that you have. Cheating in another person being such as a compliment or being like a win-win, you know, a have your revenge or a minute of empowerment because really what you are trying to tell the another person is that by cheating on them, by betraying, by being another person, is that you are proving that you care enough to you to have self-disrespect to yourselves. So you care about, like, you care about that another person, so you sacrifice your own self to make them feel bad. Most of the time, it's this way, and I do not consider longer still pushing that kind of mindset as well. I never considered that because once you are part of those dynamics or those kind of things, you can be off from everything that you believe, everything that you might think, everything that you might be perceived or just being feeling a lot because you see that person, you're like, that's somebody who I really trust. They were really portraying fate to me. They were really this, they were really that. In the music industry, a lot of people could be like, yeah, I'm portraying this kind of mindset, I'm portraying these kind of things, and I'm seeing as well something so simple such as hating dogs that I see in the story of like Cruella that I saw this movie. That is just that she had this hate of dog, but like how you can have such a hate for a little animal that is just a dog. She had that because their mother was by these dogs, and it's not because these dogs are bad. They were treated in a way that can attack whenever the owner said. So that's what happened. She had this because of that, and every time that you might look into every singer that has something that you don't like, know that they have a background. But the thing that is important to say is that Many people don't say why they hate so much something because they don't have the voice, they don't have the push, they are feeling scared to say that, and they had shame. That's what is more important for people to talk about. I don't know, something so fragile such as emotion that they can maybe navigate through music. 1916, 96, in the 60s, I saw that most of these women were like able to sing in like places, in many places, but like the only person who was in charge was a guy. They were only the thing that they were showing by the guide of a man. Close to the 90s, there were starting to develop such an owning or like empowerment movement, but more in a companionship, let's say. The 2000s was a time that it really was revealing, but when it comes to Latin music, most of producers, most of singers were only men. Most of these things that we know, I'm gonna make this machism is always gonna be in my house sometimes, in music sometimes, but when it comes to actually be honest for what it means, equality is treating each other's well. We're not treating them. I know it's poetic, it could be like a metaphor to being again and again and again in this empowerment movement, but just because you hate something, you don't need to convince others to hate something. I do love flowers, but I'm not going to convince everybody to love flowers. That makes sense. And a lot of people could be, oh my gosh, because of this, because of that. It's not the way, because we can talk about many things related to like being happy, being not into many things such as drugs, not being into these type of things, but we need to be realistic, because some people have been saying about that, oh my gosh, this singer sing about love. Calm. We need to have in common sense, because most of these things that we didn't find in music, we don't find, a lot of things such as movements of like being a tribe wise, that was like in the 90s, early in the 80s, 90s, that were the ownership only by a male, by men. I mean, we need to let that behind, because it's a lot of work. For some people could be portraying, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be this, I'm going to be that, I'm going to be whatever, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. But actually, you don't know what it's like to be fully open to choose, to actually choose something so simple as an education, to actually choose to be um a housewife, to grow up and be raised as a person who can really be into not traditional things and actually be into those things, because it's different. I see some women that were like, oh my gosh, I love this place, oh my gosh, I would love to be dedicated only to a man, to be like that and whatever, because I want to. I respect that they can be happy with that. But when it comes to those didn't having options and just studying that because you actually were raised to be, that is different. Because in my perspective, I was raised since I was younger to be a housewife. But when it comes to actually be more of that, because a lot of people having different type of background than mine, and they were like, yeah, I study communication, I study biology, I study computer science, I study Bitcoin, I study many computer stuff, but never have the chance to be more than that. Like they want to be maybe on the other side of the coin, be like, oh my gosh, life will be easy studying just this, life will be easy just studying that, or like life will be easy if I will do this, life will be easy if I will do that. It's not the same. Some people have this hate within themselves because of that. Even though the music industry, they're like, I'm not, I ain't your mama. So just a cute example, like being like a housewife, and if Jennifer Lopez is singing and then like mopping the floor. But when it comes to be seeing that from another side, I would call the song of like, La respuesta es no, about Becky G, Maluma, that than that. If that makes sense. So don't say such a song, oh my gosh, everything is just falling down. Oh my gosh, you need to keep pushing, because even though the African girl could also talk about it, like sharing my content, sharing my things, doing my things, being like this, being like that. Um didn't have the power to start it, didn't have the allowance to being like that, because most of these things that we take about religion, about things like that, we don't consider psychology. We don't consider psychology a lot. We don't consider what it's supposed to be like, what is supposed to affect other people. Because if we ever looked it into of like, this is working for me, this is working for other people, this is working for everybody. I'm not here to tell you what to believe, but just to dive into, psychologically speaking, what kind of harm you are causing to another person. Just because you have the free will to choose something doesn't mean that another person will also have the free will to choose something. If you don't affect somebody consciously and consciously, in a bad way, it's considered something good that you can do. When it comes to actually being like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling really bad because I choose to do this, and my father doesn't want to do that because I want to do this. You need to be also aware that some beliefs are not good. Some beliefs that you have, especially when you feel anxious, when you pass other looks, seeking attention, validation. But when it comes to actually be honest with themselves and be like, I'm going to perform this, I'm going to do whatever, in the whatever type of dress that they want to be, or whatever type of clothing they want to be wearing, there always gonna be some baggage behind. The concept of like, even though that I saw like a TikTok, like there is a man behind all of this. It's not only a guy behind all of these things. It's a belief, it's a system, is what we've been taught as a woman, as a guy as well, to repressing your emotions and then be flopping again. And that shows the courage. That's a trick. Showing the emotions, that's it. That often we're portraying that to ourselves. They're like, yeah, don't show your emotions as a man, as a woman, being copying the same thing as a woman that a man does to have succeed, to be whatever. In any of the healthy way by now. Because I'm not fully honest or with myself, even though to think or consider that might be linear his behavior or not. I'm still seeing. But what I've been noticing is that the strength that he had is just that the way that he cope is different than I cope. I first of all talk about and then I sing. And he sing about it and talk about it at the same time. Which is cool as well, but it had such a power in me that every time that I listened to it was like a therapy to me as well. Just releasing the leftovers that I have on my heart towards the heartbreaks that I have in the past. Because he had such a meaningful way to talk about heartbreaks, to talk about being in this kind of loops and being out of them. So most of these things, beliefs that we have, sometimes we can always transmute them. The music that you might make, you need to still have a little bit hope, to bring hope. When it comes to beliefs, if you find somebody who doesn't act in a linear way, you might check yourself first, because I don't know, I've been considering that I'm a little bit autistic, because most of autistic people love to be things to be a little bit linear, but I might not consider myself autistic as well at the same time. But if you see somebody, let's say, I believe in the universe, I even know how these things. But when it comes to be looking into what I do believe, what are my core values, I'm not even talking about what are my core values as a woman, because I can identify myself as a woman. I do identify myself as a woman, but I have do some core beliefs that I share with the Bible, with Christianity, let's say, and it's self-respect for myself and my temple. Down following lust. I don't love lust. I did as best that I can to don't have lustful mind. Just reminiscing and how this lustful and to live it, whatever like that. It's not the same for me because most of the time I need to cut ties with my dad because I really was not feeling comfortable at all. But when it comes to actually be reflecting that in other people being like, oh my gosh, I really love about this. Oh my gosh, I really love about that. Even though that one of the huge factors that I kind of was more respectful about church about the things is just that I do believe in, let's say, um, the universe. So I do consider that everybody should receive respect. But even though me as a daily basics, that is only the one of the few core values that I share. Mostly all of the core values, even though respectful in nature, respectful with animals, protecting everybody, as much as I can, and also take care of myself as my temple. That's what I call the temple. The temple and the temple. All the same, but the temple as well. And I do not believe in open relationship. In that, do not, do not believe in that. I do not believe that you can just no, no, no. Just somebody monogamy, happy, everybody happy. That's it. But if I have to see, but let's say if I had one day to see somebody that believe in the universe, they're like, oh my gosh, everything is aligned, everything is just good. But there is something like a song about cheating on that I don't agree with at all. And somebody's believing in cheating, and that's oh my gosh, the calling was the universe. I might not stop to believe in that because just somebody were portraying that as universe that a way that I don't agree with. Did that make sense to you? I'm not following what you're following. I know what I'm into. I know what I stand by. So I won't let that to affect me too long term. As well for music, as well for what I do, because I am a rock on that. I'm a rock on that. You as well should have hope and faith for something. You believe in life, call it life, just because you believe that life will be better, it will be better. But if you believe that your life will be miserable, it will be miserable. It's not because, even though psychologically speaking, I've been digging into spiritually, calling God, calling life, calling whatever. Just that the focus you could dismiss. Look as you start walking into the garden and you're looking for candies. You might pick it up, just candies if you are focused on candies, but this this grass that you are maybe looking for on candies will might also have little balls that will also be similar to these candies, but it's on your mission to all this positive mindset that you had and all of this hope and belief that you had and faith that you're still pushing it through, or even though the hope that you had in yourself will be main focus on to those candies. You will recognize what all the balls in the garden, but you need to be focused onto the candies as well. It doesn't matter if you see 1,000 balls such as mistakes or flaws that you might look into yourself, but just have hope that whenever that you believe in, just because somebody really didn't make good in something, you might not be able to be as well there. And we all have something called double moral, if that makes sense, because even though that I saw on comedy shows such as makeup or things like that, I always take my chance to, even though being like, am I willing to be this way fully, but the thing that I'm going to tell is that do your best to do everything that you could, everything, to just be committed to what is making this earth to be a better place. So I don't know if I'm over explaining this. I really have a headache. I really was mad because there was a lot of noises in my house. Managed well, and I'm a little exhausted. But anyway, I hope that you might enjoy this episode. Have free will. If you know somebody that loves something, support that. But like as I said, I want to repeat that again. How I think, but doesn't affect them consciously in the bad way. It's up to you as well. Okay, be safe, and this that. Love you, Monkyvers, and I hope you can be with me in another episode. Bye. I also would remind you that every single Sunday I'm uploading new episodes to my podcast, and only it's available on Spotify. And yes, stream my podcast episode. Let me know. And as you might know, I'm not only the person who is telling you what to do, I'm also telling myself. So we can do that together. Okay. And have a good day. And enjoy this episode of my podcast. As well, follow me on Instagram because I came with this little cute quotes and little quotes as well there. So yeah, thank you so much for being here, Monkyvers. I really appreciate all of you, and have a good day. Bye. Thank you for being patient. We cannot keep up. We fall and we get up. That's it. Thank you so much. Bye.
I know maybe you can be tired of hearing this, but please follow me on Spotify so my mom finally believes this music career thing is real. Okay, thank you. Bye.